All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Mike McDonald, and I am the president of Kid Venture Camps, and I'm happy to be with you guys today. We are joined today by Dallas, Austin, everybody from Kid Venture. All three representative cities are all here today, and we're here to talk specifically about spring break camp. And why don't I just let Roxy, why don't you talk to us about spring break camp? What is spring break camp like? How is it different than summer camp? What is it you love about it? And I'll just kind of turn it over to you.
Absolutely. So, for those that don't know me, I'm Roxy. I'm the summer camp coordinator for Kid Venture Houston. And so, kind of the big differences between spring break camp and summer camp is that it is 1 week in comparison to the whole summer. There is still a field trip for the Explorer program. We still have those absolutely awesome special activities like archery tag. I know Houston for sure is doing a rock wall. We can confirm with the other cities later if they're doing that as well. But we've actually been working really hard to enhance our curriculum and with the Discover program and the Explore program. So we're really excited to kind of give that like a trial run period during spring break camp and see how that's going to work out in the long scope for summer camp. So spring break still just as fun packed, if that's even a word, as summer camps, just a week long. So we just pack lots of fun into one short week. And the kiddos get to just have a blast and see some familiar faces from last year if it's maybe some counselors that come back and work with us for spring break. So that's the main difference between summer camp and spring break.
Well, I think you're missing probably the most important reason spring break camp is so amazing, and that's usually because it's not 115 degrees as well. So,
That's right.
and who knows what spring break what kind of weather it will bring us. It's always kind of up in the air in terms of that, but it usually is feels so much better than the summertime too as well. So, anyway, so here's kind of what we're going to talk about. This is our agenda for today, if you will, you guys. Um, the dates. We'll start with just the real specifics about what spring break looks like. We'll talk about arriving to camp, what that looks like, and how we do that. A little bit about registration. If you're not already registered for camp, how you can get that done. The activities and events. What is it we're actually going to be doing at spring break camp? We'll give you guys a little bit. And we'll talk a little bit by city as well. Field trips and KV Live. Field trips, of course, for our older kids, the explorers, not our discoverers. But we'll talk about those and what we're going to be doing there. What to bring to camp. That looks a little bit different than the summertime, but not totally different. And then the camp team, which I always say is the most important part of your child's camp experience, is going to be the camp team. And communications. How do we communicate with you? How do you know what's going on in camp? And then lastly, Q&A. And I'll say that about Q&A. If you have questions, which inevitably we have lots of questions, go ahead and jot those down in the comments section. Then when we get to the Q&A section at the bottom, we'll read those questions for everybody and answer those questions as best we can. And there you go. And the goal here is just so that you have a better understanding of what spring break camp is like, so that you and your child can have an amazing time and we can celebrate the spring and Kid Venture style. So with that, let's talk about spring break camp. So it is March 13th to the 17th. I got that right, didn't I? Because I just threw that up there thinking that was, okay, good. Camp time is always going to be 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., okay? And then post-camp is going to be 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I mean, 3:15 really. Official pickup time is like 3 to 3:15 for us. For drop-off time, we usually allow a little bit of time before 8 o'clock to drop off your kids. So check your newsletter for your specific camp for that drop-off time, just to ensure that you know exactly what time you can drop off, okay? All right, so that's kind of like the simplistic version of what spring break camp is. Let's move a little bit more into talking about arriving. When you get to camp, we usually put out a bunch of directional signs, and we got new directional signs now, so they're going to be easy to read and easy to see. They will kind of be pointing you in the direction of where camp is. And also, it's going to be in your newsletter too as well. So we put those directions in there. Every campsite is different in terms of how you actually get to the drop-off point where camp is. But if you just drove up to camp and you knew nothing about that and you forgot to read your newsletter, which some people do, just look for the directional signs and it'll take you to where you need to go. Remain in your car. We will do all the legwork for you. We will escort your child out of the car into camp. We will check you in, and then we will provide you with your family number. All right, family number. And with that, I kind of want to turn that over to Molly. And Molly, will you talk to us about what a family number is and what they're actually looking at on the screen right now?
Yeah, so this is an example of what your family number will look like. This number is unique to your family. So this is the card that you need to pick up your child from camp. So if you're having babysitter pick up, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, whoever, make sure that they have this number. You don't necessarily need the physical card that we will give you Monday morning, but you can take a picture of it and text it out. Just text out the number, whatever you need, just so we ensure that the child is going home with the correct family. If you're carpooling with another camper, make sure you both have that number. On the back, you'll see you'll have that QR code to register, to go ahead and download our app, which is really important. You'll get pictures through that app. You'll get notifications and everything you need through that app. So I would download that as soon as possible. You can also register for other camp sessions through that app as well. And then on the side, it won't be as long just because it is a shorter week and it's not summer, but you'll see that if they're a discoverer and you guys want them to nap, that will be checked off. And if they have post-camp, that will also be checked off.
Yeah, and one other thing about the pickup numbers, they're really for pick up. I have a lot of parents that try to give us their numbers when they drop off in the morning. That's not really necessary, to be honest with you. We're going to take your kid. But definitely at the end of the day, make sure you know that number, have that card, or have a picture of it on your phone, or any of the above. Okay? It's very important to us because the security of your kid is like our numero uno objective at camp, and the pickup numbers are a big part of that security protocol for us. All right. Let's talk about registration. So, if you are not registered, you still have time to register as long as there is availability. And if there's not availability, there's a wait list, and I'll talk about that in just a second. There are really two ways to register. The first is at kidventure.com at the website, right? You can just log on to your account. If you do not have an account with us, you'll just create an account and then select your weeks and pay that way. The other is through the app. If you don't have the KidVenture app, I urge you, after you listen to this, to download that from either the Apple Store or Google Play. Just enter in the search bar KidVenture Camp app, and it'll pull up our logo, the KB. Then you can download that app. That app is so important because not only can you register from it, which everybody really wants to register from their phone anyway, but we take pictures all during camp. We send notifications that tomorrow is Crazy Sock Day, or Friday, we're supposed to have weather, or whatever it might be. Those notifications are always important if they're being sent to you, right? We're not going to send you a bunch of fluff or anything like that. So make sure you download that app. It is the same login that you use for your KidVenture registration if you were doing so through the website too. So it's very easy and very seamless in that sense. All right, wait lists. Let's talk about wait lists. We do have wait lists on some of our camps. If there is a wait list, you still want to put yourself on a wait list because people's plans change. And when they change, it will automatically notify you if you're the next in line. So, I always tell people always say, well, should I put myself on the wait list? Yes. We always have movement on the wait list for weeks, for whatever reason it might be. So always a good idea to do that. Anything you want to add to that, Roxy or Jake at all?
I do know that there is a wait list for both of the sites where we are running spring break in Houston. So both St. Rose and Westview have an ongoing wait list right now for spring break. But just as Mike suggested, there is no charge to be on the wait list. So we would highly recommend to just, sign up and kind of keep your fingers crossed for the next spot to become available. But just putting that out there that both of our sites are pretty full right now. We are working hard. I'm working really hard to find more staff to be able to increase that capacity as well. So definitely just get on the wait list and, wait to see if you'll be able to be one of the lucky families that gets off because you don't want to miss out on spring break. It's a really fun time.
All right, thanks, Roxy.
One more thing about
Sure.
wait lists too.
Yep.
You'll get if you're next in line and that spot opens, you'll get an email. Make sure that once you see that email to go ahead and hop on that spot if you really want it. It is timed, and once that time period has ended, it will automatically email the next person on the wait list, and you will lose that spot. So if you know you really want it and you see that you have that next spot, jump on it as soon as you can. I think it's about 48 hours that you have. It might go down to 24 as we get closer. So just make sure to watch that email, and if you see it, hop on it as soon as you can.
Great point. Thank you very much, Molly. All right, moving on. Let's talk about what we actually do at camp. All right, this is a big one. You know, we pack our days and our week with a lot of activities. Why? Because we feel like we want our kids to be exposed to a wide variety of activities. We want them to have fun. We want them to be exposed to a wide variety of things. We take a holistic approach to camp. We've always done that. We're not the basket weaving camp or the rock and roll camp. We're Kid Venture. And we think it's important for our kids to be involved in a wide variety of activities. So we're gonna talk about some of those activities. This is not an exclusive list by any means, but I'm gonna highlight some of the things that I think the kids and the staff really enjoy doing. You know, we're doing a ton of athletics and camp games. Gaga, 9 square in the air, field sports, a variety of different things. Rock climbing, all of our kids are going to get a chance. We bring out our rock climbing walls during the week. Archery, this has probably been one of the biggest, most popular activities we've had in the last, I don't know how long we've been doing this now. 4 years now?
I think about 4 or 5
Something
years,
like 4 years now. Not your typical archery, by the way. Archery tag. These are arrows that have a big like foam marshmallow on the end, so we actually get to shoot arrows at each other. Yes, and one of the kids' favorite things to do. Field trips. Our explorers will go on a field trip, just like they do in the summer. We'll do that for spring break. Multi-day projects. This is kind of new. And Molly, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So Roxy in the beginning, she was talking about how we're kind of revamping our curriculum. So this is one of the things that we're doing for our explorers, so our school-aged kiddos, where it's a multi-day project. So we're not having, those little projects and art projects throughout the week. We will still have those, but this is a project that is a little bit more intensive, and so it'll take about 3 days to do. So it's actually kind of, awesome when you bring it home and it's like this actual like beautiful project that they created. I think for spring break camp, we are going to be doing creating your own kite. So kind of, around those kite days that I know that a lot of schools and parks do. So, kind of still there. These are just, a little bit more intensive projects that we are going to be starting to implement for the summer as well. And we're just getting it started here in spring break so you guys can get a little taste of it.
Great. Theme days. That is a bit important to us. Talk about theme days. What is theme days all about?
So theme days is kind of what we like to call camp magic. What brings, even more camp to be memorable. Yes, it's the games, but it's the silly dress-up days that we kind of do. So your directors will kind of decide on those days. And a lot of the popular ones that we have are Crazy Sock Day, Crazy Hair Day. Very similar to what you see at school, but kind of adds that extra fun to camp. And you will be made aware of all of those theme days and any dress-up days. It will be in your newsletter and under the weekly activities, and it will be there for you so you can kind of plan for that.
That's a great segue for the sock day thing. Today is actually a flash sale. Our camp store, we have a bunch of new stuff in the camp store, and we have 2 socks, the Ollie socks, which has Ollie all over them, and then our retro sock. It's just, if you don't know about this, today is a flash day sale, so you can actually go to the camp store and you can pick up those socks for like $4 off they normally are, just for today only. So there's a little pitch for the socks right there. And then on Fridays, we always end our week with some kind of big event, and that's Carnival. So on Friday, so every Friday for all of our sites, we'll have Carnival. That is a time where, it's like a lot of music and games and contests and dance, and we finish the week off like in grand fashion, right?
Yeah, it's usually a lot of our kids' favorite day of the week, and counselors as well. It'll vary by site, the activities that are set up, but it's a lot of fun, and we always look forward to it.
All right, so I'm going to bring in Jake and Roxy. Anything to add to the activities that you want to talk about? That we missed anything?
Hey guys, I'm Jake, one of our Dallas Assistant Camps Coordinators. Just adding on to what Mike said about archery tag, I think it's our 5th year actually doing it. And spring break camp is always one of the most fun times because we have a little more room to spread out. And I know at the Kessler School, there's a little grove behind it, and we'll kind of go in the woods and play it there. So the borders will be a lot bigger. The kids can run around a little bit more. And it's actually our last session at the current Kessler School before they move this summer. So we're looking forward to that move, but it's still one of the best places to go. Our field trip for spring break camp is going to be UTA Planetarium's Secret of the Cardboard Rocket, which is a STEM kind of themed interactive experience. And I'd give you more information about it, but it's a secret, and I don't think they want me spilling that before the session.
It's awesome. So I do want to. I know, Mike, you're a little bit muted, but I do want to add something there too. For I know in the summertime we do have something called Splash Day, which is basically like a water-based day for all of our campers. We won't be having that for spring break. That the weather kind of depends on that. Sometimes if in the spring it's really nice outside, it's not as scorching hot as in the summer. But sometimes it's also a little too chilly to do Splash Day. So we won't be doing that. In for spring break, so no need to pack your extra water gear or anything like that. For swim sites, right? I know in Houston, Westview is one of our typical swim sites. I think Molly, you may be at one of your typical swim sites as well. Where we won't be doing swimming. Will you be doing swimming? Also, no. Okay, yeah. There won't be any swimming activities or any water activities for spring break, so no need to worry about that. Just bring
And
your kiddos and Jake, you too.
in Dallas, our Little Elm location will be running, and they do swim 3 days a week.
Okay, wow. So cool. So in Dallas, they will be swimming, but in Austin and Houston, they won't. So for Houston and Austin families, you won't need to worry about that. I know there's a couple little differences here. So as Mike mentioned again, just be sure to read your newsletters. There's going to be a lot of information there that will be a follow-up from this Facebook Live that will give you more specifics and reminders on what to wear and what to bring to camp.
Thanks, Roxy. Jake, you mentioned field trips. That's always a big part of the camper's experience during the week. We are having field trip program during spring break. Just a few basic things about that, and then we'll go through each city, and you guys can maybe highlight your field trip. But essentially, we travel on buses for all of our kids. You come to camp the same normal time, you go home same normal time, and that bus comes there shortly after they arrive and comes back before the kids sort of stage themselves to go home. Real important, especially on field trip days. I mean, every day it's important to be on time to camp because we don't want them to miss that experience at camp. But especially on field trip, there is nothing more of a bummer than a kid driving up to camp and the bus is already pulled out for a field trip. So please make sure you know when that field trip is. Typically those are like Wednesdays and Thursdays, but check your newsletter for specific days during the spring break week so you know that. And let's make sure we have them there. So with that, I think let's start with Houston. Roxy, why don't you talk to us about your field trips for that week for spring break?
Absolutely. So Houston will be taking a field trip. Ours is going to be on Wednesday to Oil Ranch. For our families that are returning families, we did go to Oil Ranch last year as well, and the kids just had so much fun, and staff had a lot of fun too. So we've decided to go back there. It's basically campers will get to participate in a lot of like fun farm-like activities. Like there's barrel racing, petting zoo, train rides, pony rides, and it's just a really great time to be outdoors because of the super awesome weather that fingers crossed we're going to be having. So hopefully we don't get rained out. We always have a backup plan whenever we do get rained out, but Oil Ranch is really fun. I believe it's in like the Hockley area towards that direction. But as Mike mentioned, our campers hop on a bus, coach style bus, get to the location, and basically we still practice our safety measures and that super important ratio to keep our kids safe in such an open public setting. But the kids get to have a lot of fun and just be able to enjoy getting away from the typical camp setting and just, have fun. So fun is a big thing here.
All right, Molly, you want to talk about Austin?
Yeah, so in Austin, we're going to be going to West Cave Preserve. This is actually a new place we're going to. It's kind of near Hamilton Pool. So we're going to be it's about a mile long hike walk, so I would suggest planning on wearing very comfortable walking shoes, tennis shoes, sneakers. So we're going to be taking about a hike. We're going to be we'll have a guide with us, and they're going to be telling us about the ecosystems, what's protected and everything, and just taking the beautiful scenery on the hopefully beautiful weather. This is a great field trip for us to do now rather than the summer, so it's not 115 degrees and we're not dying out there. So just make sure that we're bringing those comfortable walking shoes. I know we have KV Live on here, it says. We don't. That's mostly for our Discover program, so I won't have a KV Live, but we will be doing archery tag that week instead of rock wall. Is kind of the plan for Austin.
All right, and Jake, you mentioned yours a second ago, but please mention it again while we're still talking about it, please.
Yeah. So like I said before, it's the Secret of the Cardboard Rocket at UT Arlington's Planetarium. And that's a little more STEM instead of our physical activity and creativity, but there's some creativity and some physical in there. It's exploring the universe and the solar system, everything from landing on Venus through flying through the rings of Saturn.
Awesome. That sounds really fun. I might have to come up to Dallas and go on a field trip with you guys. All right. So now that we know,
that'll be Thursday, March 16th is our field trip day.
And ours is Wednesday for Austin.
All right, so now that we know kind of what we're doing for spring break camp, let's talk about what we wear. Really, it's not much different than I think the summer, to be honest with you. You want to dress your camper in comfortable athletic clothing. Your camp shirt or, so on spring break camp, we're a little more lax on the uniform, if you will, okay? During the summer, we ask that our kids wear their camp shirt every day during the summer. They can wear that shirt. We'd love for them to wear that shirt during spring break. We definitely want them to wear that on their field trip day, please. And if they don't have one, to wear a red shirt when they go on that field trip, because we're talking about explorers there, okay? You can obviously purchase any of those shirts now, and they're delivered right to your doorstep at the KidVenture Camp store, okay? A lunch, everyone needs to bring a lunch. That's a little different than the summer because we have a catered lunch program in the summertime at our campsites, but for spring break camp, just because of how brief it is, we don't. So you'll need to pack that lunch for those kids. A big legit water bottle. Molly was making fun of me because I wrote it out like big legit water bottle, but I'm really serious about it. We still get kids to come with those little tiny plastic Ozarka things like that.
Or no water bottles at all.
Or maybe none at all. Once again, we're an active camp program. We are moving and going all the time. It is super important and super safe for us to hydrate our kids and for them to come to camp already hydrated. That way we don't get behind on our fluids. So we have a really wonderful camp-tested water bottle at our camp store that we love, that's perfect for kids. If you want to purchase one of those, but I don't really care. Just purchase one that's big, that has a big mouth on it, where they can get a lot of water and ice down into it, okay? If they're a Discover and you're going to camp, a nap mat, please. Now, we don't force our kids to nap, but for those kids that do nap, and that's their part of their routine, they get to stick with that routine, okay? And then lastly, sunscreen. When I mean sunscreen, I mean we want those kids to come to camp already having their sunscreen applied. Applying 150 kids with sunscreen after they get to the camp is not what we want to be doing. In the summertime, we reapply in small groups during the summer, but please, even with spring break, the sun is still out. It can be very hot and there's a lot of exposure, and they really haven't, it's kind of for a lot of kids, maybe it's their first chance to really be in the sun after the winter season, so probably even more important during spring break than maybe even the summer, so keep that in mind.
Oh, and then some other points I want to make too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anything that you bring to camp with you, please have your name on it, first and last name. Especially for the Discovers, for our littles, a lot of times they'll bring a change of clothes just in case. Please label everything that comes to camp with you, and this makes the lost and found a lot easier. I'm not saying that kids won't ever lose something, they will, but it makes it easier to get that to that correct family.
Yep.
I love those little stickers that people have now with their first and last name that's on everything. Initials are okay, but I have a lot of kids with the same initials, so if we could Please have it full name, underwear even, socks even, anything that you think that needs to be labeled, please label it with their first and last name. And then also don't bring anything to camp with you that you're afraid to lose.
Yeah, and please leave those electronics at home, and toys, those kind of things like that. Believe me, we got way too much stuff going on at camp for those kids to have to engage in that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. I think, did we cover everything else? Is that anything else, Roxy or Jake, that I missed there?
I think I didn't. So I mentioned the field trip, but I didn't mention that for Discovers we will be having a KV live. I believe Wednesday as well. So when the older kids go on a field trip, the Discovers will have a special guest come to the campsite. His name is DJ Mikey Mike, so not Mike McDonald, the president of Kidventure, a different Mike. But he does like this really big kind of music festival kind of thing, and kiddie pools with like bubble formula, and the kids basically have like a big bubble party. It was our first time using him last summer, and he's absolutely amazing, and the kids loved it. So we're really excited to kind of bring, let the Discoverers enjoy the beautiful weather as well, and be able to party with DJ Mikey Mike. So that will also be on Wednesday as well. And yeah, I think that's all I forgot to mention.
So that's pretty cool. So you have a DJ mixing for our Discoverers, our 3s, 4s, and 5s?
Yes, so it's going to be a lot of remixing Baby Shark and all the really popular kiddie songs, maybe some 3 to 5 year old friendly Kids Bop hits or something in there, but he's really, really fun.
That's amazing. I love that so much, by the way.
We go. I think Dallas lost power for a moment.
Are y'all getting those storms up there?
Light.
Are you getting storms up there in Dallas yet, Jake?
Yeah, we are in a little bit, I think, but that was just the motion sensor light that kicked off on us.
Okay.
That's why
Maybe you need to move around a little bit more, Jake. Maybe too solitary.
Yeah, I gotta step it up.
All right. Let's talk about communications. Look, camp goes really well when you know what we're doing and then we know what you're doing. And so we try to do our very best to create a system of communications that provides for all of those things, right? And really it happens in 4 ways. The first is your camp newsletter. So the Thursday before your camp week starts, you're going to be emailed a newsletter. A newsletter is beautiful, right? We've got a lot of beautiful pictures in there and very descriptive things, and we have what your kid's doing that week, but it is only as valuable as the opportunity you take to actually read it, okay? So what I tell parents is, when you get that email, read the newsletter, download it as a picture or whatever, keep it on your phone, and I think we design them now to be phone ready. So you just swipe through there. It's super easy. Don't have to print it up or anything like that. But that's the first piece of communication I think is probably most important. The second is the app. Once again, if you don't have the app, you need to download the app, because once camp starts, when it comes to notifications, things like what to wear the next day for a theme day, inclement weather, whatever it might be, it's going to be through that notification system. And not only do you need to download the app, but you need to enable your phone to accept notifications from our app. Because I know some people haven't done that before in the past. They didn't get the notifications just because they didn't enable that. So make sure you do that. The third is our friendly customer service rep. So everybody who comes to Kidventure is assigned a really amazing customer service rep, okay? And their job is to take care of you, right? They handle your account, they fix things for you, they answer questions for you if you need that. They're there for you. They're a warm body that you can reach during the day by phone or email, and they're there for you. And that's something that from the very beginning, 29 years ago, we always wanted to do. We wanted to provide somebody to talk to, right? And we don't use bots. We don't use any of that kind of stuff because we don't feel like that's appropriate, right? And they really do a good job. And so make sure that you utilize that service if you need to. And the last is what we call the whiteboard. This is a whiteboard in where you drop off camp. If we've got it out there and it has something written on there, it's probably important that as you drive by, you read it, or you pull out your phone on the side of the car and you click and you take a picture of it. because it's usually because we're reminding you of something that we've reinforced already in the newsletter and the notifications or something like that, like tomorrow is, wear your clothes backwards day or whatever it might be. So those are the 4 ways that we communicate with you guys. We're always available to talk and answer questions and problem solve for you. But I hope you understand that that's a huge piece for us, and trying to communicate with you effectively and succinctly is super important to us. All right. Last but not least, before we get to questions, the camp team. By far, it is the most important part of camp. And before I turn this over to the rest of these guys to talk about that, I want you to know that you can have like the greatest camp program in the world in terms of facilities, and you can have all the rock walls and all the shiny gear and everything else. It doesn't make a bit of difference if you don't have high quality staff who care about your kid and want to engage them and spend time with them during the camp day. And I used to say when I used to talk, I'd rather have like a dirt field and a half blown up ball and somebody that was really amazing and loved your kid and wanted to share their time and talents and was engaging and knew about safety than have all the best facilities in the world and a mediocre staff. By far, the number one objective at KidVenture is to recruit, train, and provide the best possible staff for your kid, because that is where the magic happens at camp. What they remember most in October isn't the Gaga pit and the field trip and the llama and all the other crazy stuff that happens at camp. It's their counselor, right? And they will remember that counselor's name for like the rest of their life if we've done our job. So, Roxy, why don't you chat a little bit about the qualifications for our staff? What does that look like? Who are the kind of people that we put in there, and the recruitment that goes on and the training that takes place?
Yeah, so our staff, especially for spring break, is largely made up of returning counselors and returning staff from previous summers. So there's a lot of experience that comes with that when you've already worked through either our seasonal camps before, like Thanksgiving or winter camp, or you've done summer camp with us before. There's a lot of experience that comes with that. You're used to the environment, you're used to the schedules, you're used to the type of activities that we are running. Even though there are going to be some differences this time around with the curriculum, the staff is still very much experienced. They go through extensive training. They do have to be first aid, CPR certified, go through an abuse prevention course. So there's all of these things that we do to prepare them to make sure that on top of having the love for all of your kiddos and all of our families, to be able to be present and keep our campers safe while also having fun. So everyone is required to be 18 years or older. So what that usually means is we have a lot of college age kiddos, not kiddos, those are, I guess, older kiddos, college age students that come and work for us that are either interested in the field of education or just really like working with kids, or just really like working, being in the outdoors, and they want to be able to experience camp as well. So 18 years old, everyone is, trained. And we usually, we prefer for everyone to have at least 2 years of experience working with children in a professional capacity. We do have some certified teachers actually a lot of certified teachers that are part of our leadership team. So with the experience that they bring, they've studied education, they work with kids on a daily basis, and now they're sacrificing their spring break. Thank you, teachers, to come and work with us still during their little break there. It just put that whole team together, and you make like a magical team to be with your kids for spring break. And the same thing kind of applies for summer camp as well. So we care a lot. We do a lot of training to get all our staff to where we need to be able to just make the camp experience for all of our campers just the best that it could be.
Awesome, Roxy. Thank you so much. And Jake, could you talk about our staff are all identifiable, right? Because they wear a uniform. Talk a little bit maybe about that and help parents understand what a staff member looks like in terms of their uniform.
Yeah, so our uniform, we put a lot of thought into what goes into it to make it both professional and movable, flexible, so our staff can run and play and interact with the kids. So actually, the shirt that Mike is wearing right now is what our directors wear, that T-shirt. And each director, every program has its own director. They wear that shirt. Our group counselors, they wear the same type of shirt, but in red. Each staff member also wears a pair of black shorts, athletic shoes, a wristwatch to keep time, and then the name tag, because it's hard to know people if you've only met them once. So our name tags, they have, it doesn't have one in it right now, but it looks like this. It's got pens, pencils, markers, and red tickets for when our kids are doing the right things as they often do. But yeah, the whole focus of it is functional and fun at the same time. And that's a lot of what we put our thought into across the board.
Thanks, Jake. And I will say, in ending with regards to our staff, there is a type of person that loves and succeeds at running summer camp, and has less to do with maybe their athletic ability or their how great of a voice they have. It has to do with this sort of spirit that they have, this energy that they bring, and those are the kind of people that sort of we're attracted to, that we bring into the fold at KidVenture. They want to spend time with kids, right? Because they want to make a difference in the world, and they find that getting that done working with kids is probably the best way they can think of, which is why we hire a lot of educators, which is why we have a lot of teachers on board with us, right? They find that opportunity to be with kids, very rewarding. And to do it outside of a classroom setting and in a camp setting is even better for a lot of them too as well, I think. So anyway, that's a little bit about our staff. So with that, hopefully we've covered a lot for y'all and talked a lot about camp and specifically spring break camp, what that looks like. I don't know if there's any questions, but I'm going to move over.
I think you muted yourself, Mike.
I'm sorry. You're probably happy about that, huh, Roxy? I'll move on to the Q&A right now. We really don't have, I think James had yes, water bottles. Good old James. I think he's on every one of these Facebook things. God, we love James. James, I'm sending lots of love out there for you, man. Hope you're doing well in the classroom today. Why aren't you in the classroom, by the way?
Don't call him out.
Yes, water bottles. Please pack a really good water bottle, okay? If you have any other questions, you can leave them into the comments after we're done. We did record this, so we'll post this on Facebook, and we'll stick it up towards the top. And we'll answer your questions. Of course, you can feel free to call the office and let us know. I will tell you, I'll pivot a little bit. We are far ahead of our registrations for summer 2023 than we were last year or pre-COVID. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that do not wait. There's this like trigger that goes off in a lot of parents' heads after spring break, and they go, oh, summer's coming. And then we have like this big rush of registrations. We have already had a big rush of registrations prior to spring break. And so we want you to have as much opportunity to get the weeks that you want to. I would not wait after spring break if you don't have to. So just a little bit of advice right there, okay? So from all of us at KidVenture, I want to thank you all so much for being with us today. And we'll be running more of these Facebook Lives as we get going. I think we have the next one on March the 22nd, which is going to be dealing with a discover and moving to an explore. So if your kid is in that boat where they're moving from a blue shirt to a red shirt, we're going to talk about that transition, what that looks like, and everything that sort of goes into being a big camper. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Hope the weather is okay in your part of the woods later on today. And thank you all very much from everybody at KidVenture. Bye, guys.